while Iran is rethinking their life choices, we're going into Fortnite.
I don't live there, buddy.
Really? Because your wife does.
I'm basically racist.
Two things are terrifying about this video. I'm going to be talking about some serious, intense, politically charged drama. And also, I got a haircut. That's why I'm wearing the cap. I don't want to hear any comments. I don't want to hear anything about it. Already my stylist has been harassed non-stop on Instagram. Go after me all that you want. Please leave my stylist out of it. Honestly, I didn't think the trim was that bad. And then I started to see all of the Instagram comments, and immediately I bought out the Cruelty Squad cap that I'm probably going to wear for the rest of this video. I would also like to request that you please stop posting middle-aged women getting their hair cut and then comparing it to mine. Thank you very much. Asmongold, one of my favorite streamers on the platform, especially if you like to watch someone watch a video, say sure a lot, and then slightly raise his eyebrows. So unfortunately, it seems that Mythic Talent, who is partnered with Asmongold, have mutually agreed to part ways, which usually 9 times out of 10 is, we don't want to do a call-out post on you, so let's just say we both agreed to leave. You may know Asmongold for an insane litany of political takes that he has, his ongoing feud with Hassan Piker constantly. They're both beefing with each other and then probably checking in why Jinxie has 3 times the amount of views that they have. His also questionable hygiene habits.
My teeth. Just put it on the wall.
And he is one of the only streamers in the world to successfully cohabit with cockroaches, which is surprising because as much as he loves them, other people, like Critical, for example, are absolutely terrified of them. Now, if you're a real old head, you might remember the time before he actually did political grifting when he played World of Warcraft.
That's all there is to it.
Now, he co-founded a company called OTK back in 2020, which has a huge amount of talent under its roster. There's Emaru, Esfand, Extra Emily, NMP LOL, Soda Poppin, Glep from Smiling Friends.
What do you actually do around here, man?
Glap, did you take a paper clip? Last time I counted there was 74, and now there's only 73.
Now, Asmongold ended up leaving OTK back in February of last year, publicly stepping down from his leadership role, basically saying that making controversial political content is extreme and polarizing, and it's harder to work with other creators who make amazing content like talking in their car and then eating some food as well, possibly. OTK also had other members that left as well, like, for example, Wilnef, Bruce dropped him off.
I'm such a fat fucking chud.
But even Jay Schlatt was actually with them quite briefly before quietly leaving. Now, Mythic is a talent company that was founded in 2023 by Asmongold and another guy called Tips Out. Okay, I'm going to be honest, the hair is giving like lesbian librarian vibes, so I think the cap is going on for the rest of this video. Yeah, the cap is definitely going on here.
Holy shit, my head is fucking massive.
Now, some notable people that they actually represent is Queso, Soda Poppin. They also represent a hell of a lot of VTubers. Now, the tweet of Asmongold leaving came pretty quickly after this clip went around of him that went viral, of him talking about the United States bombing of a girls' elementary school in Iran, which reportedly killed more than 100 civilians.
Oh, a school got bombed? Yeah, I didn't see that. I mean, again, any time that I hear somebody trying to cry and get upset about like, oh my God, Israel and America bombed a school. Yeah, I mean, if a school gets bombed and kids get killed, it's sad. It's obviously a tragedy, but it's collateral damage in a war and it's inevitable, number one.
And then in the clip, Asmongold's basically going on saying that they shouldn't have antagonized the US.
You know, if they didn't want that to happen, maybe they shouldn't have been funding terror groups and antagonizing a world superpower like America.
And he refuses to be emotionally blackmailed.
So I don't want to hear any sort of emotional blackmail from a third worldist about how it's so terrible that Israel and America killed kids when Iran's literal fucking policy is to intentionally kill kids.
He also said, sorry, don't build a school next to a military base.
Sorry. Don't build the school next to a military base. Exactly.
Now, even though there's no direct proof that this was the reason why he got let go by Mythic or like, you know, choose to mutually part ways, most people seem to think that this is the main reason why. Now, Asmon actually spoke about his side, saying that he hasn't actually been in the decision-making process of Mythic for well over a year.
Like, I haven't been involved in like any decision-making at Mythic for like, I don't know, probably like over a year.
And he doesn't actually give a shit about anything streamer-related anymore, saying that he doesn't want to deal with any more drama or cancellations.
Basically, like, I don't really give a shit about any streamer stuff at all anymore. There is like 5 streamers that I care about, and then maybe 10 that like I give a shit about and I think matter and like have like, you know, an opinion or something like that I think is worth considering. But other than that, I really just don't give a fuck anymore.
He even said he doesn't consider himself part of the streaming community and doesn't actually plan to ever collab or stream with another Twitch person again. Describing himself, and as I quote here, racist against Twitch streamers.
I'm basically racist against Twitch streamers.
However, this entire statement fell short immediately because as soon as he got asked if he'd collab with Clavicular, he said yes.
I have no problem doing a collab stream with Clavicular. I have no problem with that. I've got no issue with that. But specifically Twitch streamers.
This wasn't the only drama that Mythic was involved in as well. There was a VTuber called Grimmy that actually alleged that Mythic wasn't honoring her sponsorships and skimming a bit off the top. So, assumedly taking some of the money that they got from sponsors for themselves more than what they should have. And then Mythic absolutely shit themselves, ran to Twitter and basically put out this really big statement, words, saying that they conducted a thorough review of their records, saying that Grimmy was actually paid in full. I do love when they do that though. It's like, yeah, we conducted an internal review. We didn't find anything. It's like, yeah, because the guys that looked into what was dodgy are being paid by the company to look into what is dodgy. They said they sent Grimmy all the documentation for these payments and then remain open to reviewing anything that Grimmy may has that contradicts them. And then Grimmy quote tweeted the statement saying that they previously provided 2 completely different explanations to her and now they're changing the story again. This then led to other streamers coming out, like accusing Mythic of basically being the equivalent of a used car salesman.
I sell cars, for God's sake. I've never heard anyone in my life. Definitely not a woman.
Again, guys, used car salesman, dead bit. We need to move on, all right? I'm saying right now, if you think someone's dodgy, if you think someone's shady, do not say used car salesman. Say Nigel West Dickens. Again, the slimiest character in the Red Dead Redemption universe. We need to give this guy some more attention.
A man who sells lies and deceit to unwitting people. A man who, if he doesn't help me, I won't think twice about putting a bullet through his skull. Feeding to the vultures myself.
You see, Mr. Marston, you have the exterior of a violent man, but the soul of an angel, and that is what I think I cherish most about you.
This is the guy that would sell his mum's right kidney just to prove a point. To make things even more confusing, Mythic is actually one of the defendants in the Miskiff defamation lawsuit, which is this long list that includes Emeru, Asmongold, OTK, King Gaming Labs. He filed this lawsuit following these assault allegations from Emeru. And then Miskiff accuses the organization of demanding hundreds of thousands of dollars in payment for management fees and contractual breaches, which of course, again, they've denied. Now, Asmongold was included in this case, but he filed a motion to dismiss, which basically means, no, I'm done. I want nothing to do with this. I'm out. So his entire portion was dismissed and Miskiff can't actually sue again on these specific claims. Honestly, I don't think anyone should do political streaming. I think it's an incredibly tight rope that you can walk, and eventually you're going to anger the wrong group of people. You should do more wholesome streaming content, like my good friend Dr. Witnesser.
I ain't gay, but I do gay stuff.
Now, it seems the internet has found their new person to hate for the week, or maybe even the month, which is amazing considering how dopamine fried everyone's receptors are. This is, of course, the faithful sheriff. Now, you may be aware of the burnt peanut, a morbidly obese man that uses a Snapchat filter of a peanut to hide his third chin. How do I know he's morbidly obese? I don't, but until he face reveals, that's canon. And there's been a lot of other streamers that are doing the exact same gimmick, one of them being Dr. Witnesser. And he has a character that he uses called the Faithful Sheriff, which is basically the burnt peanut, but with a 10-gallon hat and a mustache. Now, this guy has been getting a lot of hate. Basically, he joins games of Fortnite and tries to convert people to Christianity, usually whether they like it or not. And if they don't want to convert, they're basically leading a hedonistic, sinful lifestyle. This has led, unsurprisingly, to a lot of people pushing back in the most extreme ways possible. Like, for example, getting his home address leaked on stream.
I can argue. Like how you lied about being from Texas when you live in...
I don't live there, buddy.
Really? Because your wife does.
I really do feel for the guy because the way that he side-eyes the camera is the exact same way a dog does when he notices that you have food. And he also ended up getting a donation that's shown off his social security number on screen.
You know what I mean?
President Trump here.
Yeah.
The faithful sheriff's social security number is...
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Wow. That's fantastic. Wow. That's great. Yeah, well...
Some people went as far as LARPing as the actual burnt peanut to then send this guy fake cease and desist letters, which ends him to basically stop streaming out of panic. So I think it's important to provide some background on who this guy is, because for the most part, when people see viral clips of him, they just think burnt peanut, but his cousin that has a mustache. So again, like I said, he would start off by playing Fortnite. Fortnite's player base is primarily 2-year-olds, and he would go up to them and basically try to convert them into Christianity. Here is a clip, for example, of him trying to convince some poor random Fortnite player to convert to Christianity.
Do you believe in a guy named Jesus?
No.
Unfortunate. Would you like to hear the gospel message on how you can be saved and go to heaven?
I mean, not particularly.
Oh, okay. Unfortunate. Well, if I might encourage you to maybe pick up a Bible and read it if you're interested in reading.
Oh, no, I have. I can quote the vast majority of the Bible. I grew up very religious, which is the exact reason why I'm no longer.
So in this clip, he explains his Batman origin story, how he became the faithful sheriff. He basically had an idea to bring himself into the burnt peanuts law, uninvited. Basically, it's a really elaborate way of saying, this guy's successful, I want to kind of leech off that. Look, man, hey, we all did it, all right? Look, like me coming up, I copied Leafy's here. We all did it, all right? We all have someone that we leech off, but don't try and say that you're adding yourself into the law. So the story is that the burnt peanut turned him into a peanut after he left a hate comment. So after that, he started streaming with the peanut filter. Again, definitely not to trick people into thinking they're watching the burnt peanut.
One day, I watched a TikTok clip from the Behind the Bar podcast, and Gingy was on it, and as Gingy is a friend of the burnt peanut, right? I didn't think she was ever going to see that comment, but I said I don't know what the big deal is. I find Gingy boring. She comments on it herself and says, "What a nice thing to say." And I'm like, So anyways, I told her I was sorry, and well, then I thought it would be funny for the next day for me to be a peanut on stream. And the story was I called Burnt Peanut's friend boring, and he turned me into a peanut.
And then he started mass posting these LARPs onto TikTok, usually hashtagging the burnt peanut to hopefully get into the algorithm to get more views. And then he goes on about this weird cope of peanut metamorphosis. Basically, he's just blatantly admitting that he's doing this as a leech and as exposure, which I guess is working because people are now leaking his social security number on stream.
Find it fun. And 2 for exposure. It's not a rebrand, by the way. Guy in chat's like, why are you rebranding? It's not a rebrand. I'm still Dr. Witnesser. And for exposure, I'm a content creator. I do this for a living.
There's also clips as well of him begging his followers to try to get the burnt peanut to respond to him.
Here's the deal. If you get the burnt peanut to respond to this video by saying, I released you of your peanut bones, you get your witnesser back, and I'll be gone. You got a week to do this. Now, if the burnt peanut don't respond to this video by saying I release you from your peanut bones, then I'll be the faithful sheriff forever.
But, ladies and gentlemen, there is even deeper lore to that. He wasn't always the faithful sheriff. This is a guy called Dr. Witnesser, who was actually originally a ripoff of Dr. Disrespect. So he did the exact same thing even back then, trying to convince people about the good book of the Lord. The problem is, when he was Dr. Witnesser, when he was a human before becoming a peanut, he had a very short temper, and he would basically get mad and disagree with anyone about religion. So much so that people would go onto his stream to try and rage bait him.
I got a particular set of skills.
Male on male.
No, I have a particular set of skills.
Taking it without flinching.
No, I go into games and I teach people about the Bible, bro.
About what?
I go into games and I teach people about the Bible.
The
Bible. I know my mic is loud and clear, bro.
Why would anyone want to buy a bowl? They're mean and they charge you if you're wearing red.
All right. Anybody else have a mic?
And the problem is he created a bit of a negative cycle for himself. As we know, we're in the clip farming generation now. Everything has to be enraging, get you angry. Someone doing something stupid, or a certain man blasting 50 milligrams of tren into his chest every day gets his wig snatched. And then claiming, oh, I was fooling you. Oh, I'm viral now. It was all a prank.
I really didn't want people to know I'm bald, guys.
Most of his viral clips went from people rage baiting him, which he would post. He would get a lot of likes, a lot of views, and it created this feedback loop of him only posting himself being absolutely roasted, which then led to more people trying to join in to hopefully roast him. He also quickly rebranded to this side character called Edward Preach that was basically just him wearing a beanie, but that obviously didn't work out, and he quickly returned to the Dr. Witnesser name.
This guy sounded like he was having a bad day, so I asked if there was anything we could pray for him about. He had something very specific in mind.
Shut the f up.
That was definitely uncalled for.
It was uncalled for, bro. Is there anything I can pray for you about? Are you having a bad day?
Yeah, yeah, I actually am having a bad day.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. What can we pray for you about?
Honestly, I need the mosque.
All right.
Now, obviously, when people found out that there was a man LARPing, going around and trying to preach Christianity to everyone, and also his ties to Dr. Disrespect, people began to nickname him Dr. Chud, and then spamming that in the comment section of his TikTok. So why is he getting so much hate? Well, while he was LARPing as the faithful sheriff, the burnt peanuts cousin with a mustache, he basically posted a clip on Twitter where he defended the US bombing Iran. This was, again, very serious business. That's why he was dressed up as a peanut.
While Iran is rethinking their life choices and whether or not it was a good idea to go up against the United States of America, we're going into Fortnite.
Now, the ratio here, it's brutal, man. Like, you know when you go on those like Instagram Reels videos and you can already tell it's over because it's got more shares than likes? This is something else. This shit has 7 million views and it only has 400 likes. He also posted this clip where he convinced a kid on Fortnite to join ICE. Again, the ratio is brutal. 1.5 million views, only 300 likes. I'd also like everyone to know at this point, I have recently posted a picture of myself dressed up as a twink Leon Kennedy with absolutely no muscle mass. Please like that post. Please, my Twitter's falling off. I'm completely desperate. Thank you. Now, the top reply to this tweet is him getting doxxed by a stream sniper and then basically rushing in to mute him. There's also him talking about it afterwards, treating it very seriously by adding fart effects every 10 seconds.
That jerk who posted my private information in a Tangia clip. Yeah. That's really lame. It's because of these people that I have to freeze. I have to do things to prevent identity theft because these jerks are taking my personal private information and pasting it everywhere on the internet. I mean, what kind of fiend and what kind of vile person do you have to be to do that?
Also, that cease and desist that he got from someone LARPing as the burnt peanut that he was actually tricked into believing and panic ended stream. His statement on that is pretty genius. So I wanted to share some information with you guys on why I ended stream early. I received this email from someone claiming to represent the burnt peanut. They sent me this cease and desist letter. So naturally, my heart skipped a beat for a second because I was taken aback by this. I had to end the stream to investigate this because if it was true, it is a serious matter. They asked me to immediately stop using a peanut avatar. Don't use his name in hashtags and don't use his name in your made-up story about how you turned into a peanut. And if I didn't, they would report me to Twitch for impersonation and other things, which is ridiculous because I'm not impersonating him. After doing some research, this email, or who they claim to be, is 100% completely fake. It's essentially a phishing email of twofold. One, to get me to fold and stop doing what I'm doing, which I wouldn't. Two, get me to call the number of my lawyer's office, so then the trolls would have my number. Now, this letter does keep going on, but the ending is kind of genius. I am my own peanut, my own name, my own person, my own brand. Thanks for your support, everyone. And I'll see you in the stream tomorrow. Nice try, trolls. Now, the entire letter, I'll show it, but I won't read it it all out. Someone has put a lot of time and effort to basically psyop him into thinking that this was the burnt peanut. And then, of course, because how obsessed the faithful peanut is with the burnt peanut, because obviously all the clout it's getting him, he's basically in the spotlight more than ever now. People started to make him the Hello Neighbor Twitter account, talking about game theory. I believe the burnt peanut is going to enjoy this. I think the burnt peanut will enjoy dissecting this frame by frame. Yes, the burnt peanut should totally reply to our DM. Your wife's boyfriend let you watch a peanut VTuber. It's burnt peanut instead of faithful sheriff. The faithful sheriff is converted to Islam. I live on... Now, I would go through a lot of these tweets, but most of them just basically include his home address as the punchline. But Twitter is absolutely swamped with this guy at the minute. Gentlemen, another fake Pokemon game has hit the building. You may remember back in 2024, we had PowerWorld. That was a game that got released and immediately climbed up the Steam charts, peaking at 2 million concurrent players. A lot of people dubbed it Pokemon with guns. I don't know why that tagline just never goes away. It's like with Far Cry, that was dubbed Skyrim with guns, if anyone remembers that.
Feels like Skyrim with guns.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment.
Now, it was dubbed Pokemon with guns because of how much it very obviously ripped off of Pokemon. Instead of being called Pokemon, they were called Pals, and they were mostly just overt copies of Pokemon designs. It even had those very questionable ones that would set all the furries off. Like, for example, in Power World, you had Lavender. Like, this shit wasn't even a Pokemon, bro. It was literally just someone's persona that got put into the game. Now, this obviously led to a lawsuit from Nintendo that is still ongoing. The reason why Power World is so successful is because it was basically Pokemon, but you didn't have to buy a Switch to play it. I mean, this is a tale as old as time. You have a very popular game. It's stuck on one console. When someone makes a knockoff of that game, puts it everywhere else, it will sell well. Great example, Minecraft. Before it came out on the Xbox, we had nothing. So, you know, this is some old head lore. Back in my day, before Minecraft, there was a game called Fortress Craft. And Fortress Craft on the Xbox, it was... okay, there wasn't really any survival mode. You couldn't really do anything. You could just build, and it looked like Minecraft with a really awful, god-awful HD realistic texture pack. But still, it's all that we had, and it probably made the game developers a ton of money. And then, later on, we got an actual version where you could do things like shoot zombies. That was Castle Miner Z. That game, I almost want to take 2 minutes of silence for how goated it was. It was complete trash, but it entertained me in my teenage years for many, many hours. So there's another game that's come out, nothing to do with Power World, and it's called Pikmon. They are just tempting fate at this point. It sounds even fucking closer to Pokemon. And it's now on Steam. There's a trailer, and the main character... who does he remind you of? Seriously, who does he remind you of? I don't know. I possibly could not tell. Possibly another licensed, trademarked, copyrighted Nintendo character. So that's just Pikachu, bro. Like that. They're not even trying to hide it now. This isn't even like royalty-free Pikachu. What? How do they think they're going to win this lawsuit? How do they think they're going to win it? Bruh, that's... they literally just got Link out. It's like they saw the lawsuit that got levied against Power World, and they were like, wait a minute, hold my beer. We're going to try and copy Pokemon even more and somehow not get sued. Well, that's inaccurate, actually, because being on the bike, if this was Pokemon, it would have ran at about 9 frames. Wait, Jarvis, go back. They're not even trying to hide it, bro. They're not even trying to hide it now. They are basically saying, please draw fan art of this character. They are not even trying to hide it anymore. Wait. Go back. Neural activate. Bro, that's just Roadhog. That is just Roadhog. That's not even like... they have stole the mask 1-to-1. Well, I mean, bro, who needs Pokemon if you've got like a 5/7 with like armor penetration rounds? Like FMJ. I unironically cannot wait for that to be the most played game on Steam for about 4 days. And then people realize how monotonous and boring it is and they just move on. I mean, even looking at the Steam thumbnail, you've got like a Charizard clone on the right. There's like some clones of Lucario, Meganium as well, like a clone of that in the same image. Now, there obviously is a market for this because looking at the Steam charts right now for Power World, it's actually a lot better than I thought. I thought it would probably be a couple thousand people, but the player base is kind of dying. It is dwindling. But that being said, it's still got like just under 50,000 concurrent players within a day. And those are pretty healthy numbers. I mean, I get it. It's not 2 mil. Like, it'll never reach those highs again. But still, the fact that there's even people playing it to this day and it's not just a couple thousand people, that is really impressive. So how do they avoid copyright here? Instead of using balls to capture Pokemon, now it's cards. And the store lists Pocket Game as the developer and Network Go as the publisher. These are the most throwaway names imaginable, as if if they get sued, they can just disappear and pack their bags. Now, this seems to be Pocket Game's first release, probably their last release when Nintendo inevitably sues them. But Network Go, they've actually published a game previously called Hanya World, which basically is just a MapleStory Minecraft combination. Some people have had some great takes here, like Fiznom. I mean, he basically sums it up perfectly. It's almost like this is made with the sole purpose of trying to rage bait Nintendo as much as possible. But that being said, we've got this new game coming out. What's happening with actual Power World, the original ripoff of Pokemon? So after Power World released, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company did respond with legal action, but they didn't sue for copyright or character designs like you might expect. They actually sued for patent infringement, claiming that Power World used 3 of Nintendo's patents on gameplay mechanics, specifically creature capture mechanics and rideable creature systems. Todd Howard, they're coming for you. God forbid they come for Todd Howard and the Oblivion Horse Armor DLC next. After this, Power World removed the Pal Spheres, which are used to capture and summon pals, which is basically, their version of Pokeballs, as well as removing the creature's gliding system. But despite the fact that Nintendo are known for suing everyone into oblivion, it seems that the lawsuit isn't actually going their way, because in October 2025, the Japan Patent Office actually rejected one of Nintendo's patent applications, and this is central to the Power World case. And only a week later, the United States Patent and Trademark Office ordered a re-examination of another one of Nintendo's patents. Now, patents are a bit of a scary thing. Usually, if you have a patent, that means you own it, and anyone that infringes on it, you can sue them. That's why patent trolling is a real concept, where companies will purposely sit on patents that are very broad and specific and vague, wait for people to use it, and then jump on them and demand an insane amount of money. This actually happened to Valve recently. Thankfully, they actually ended up winning that case. But I can't wait to be playing Pikmin Pokemon. I forgot the name of the game already. Pokemon 2. We're going to call it Pokemon 2. I cannot wait to capture my furry Pokemon and run around with my AK-47 with ACOG 4x scope and a monolith suppressor.